Before proceeding, make sure you've listened to part 1 of this special 2-part MacGuffin Guild episode featuring both the 1988 and 1993 versions of The Vanishing. On this special 2-part episode of the MacGuffin Guild, we're going to continue the obsessive search for The Vanishing. We're going to explore and compare both the 1988 and 1993 versions of the film, both directed by George Sluizer. The 88 version stars Bernard-Pierre Donnadieu, Johanna Steege and Gene Bervoets, while the 93 version stars Jeff Bridges, Kiefer Sutherland, Nancy Travis, and Sandra Bullock. We're going to talk about The Golden Egg, The Fear of Tunnels, and Sly Stallone, anti-fan reviews, and ASMR. We'll discuss the look of metal bass players, method acting, Mike's throat growls, playing darts in the dark, and losing your bear hunting friend. We'll also talk about Pat's UFO experience, chess master Tim Krabbe, as well as the second time Justin was almost abducted. I'm Pat Dougherty, and as always, I'll be joined by my fellow MacGuffins, Justin Jones and Mike Antonio. Our theme song was written and performed by Jordan Vincent. Now let's find out how far out of your mind you're willing to go to find The Vanishing.
I raised you better than this.
So to the 88 version, the bikes were stolen off of their car?
Oh.
Yeah.
Did you recall that?
They were definitely stolen.
So who stole them? Was that just a random theft?
I think it was just a random act of.
So that was just an additional.
Yeah. It was like yeah.
Crime-ridden France.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. I'm not serious, guys. If you're from France.
Another thing that I thought was done better in the original than in the remake was the cans, the 2 cans, the beer and the soda.
Oh yeah.
That she exited the gas station with. I think they show them in the American version.
Yeah, she's holding them.
But in the original, they show them getting smashed. You see a kid walk by at one point and pick up
hey dad,
the unsmashed can. They do more with it.
Yeah.
It's more, and it's a devastating visual.
Yeah.
And they kept going back to it. And I thought it was really well done in that version compared to the American version, which was just kind of glossed over.
Yeah.
Yeah, she has Barney hold the beer and sodas at one point.
Yeah, the Sandra Bullock character.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, so See,
I'm bringing things to the table.
The thing that I...
Not much.
The thing that I asked in both cases, why wouldn't both Rex and Jeff, why wouldn't both of them go to the gas station management and say, is there any way I can pull your security footage?
At the time, maybe they didn't have security footage. 88 and 93 respectively.
93, they should have by that point.
Yeah, I would think.
Yeah,
It wasn't like a rinky-dink little, that was like it looked like a chain type of...
I mean, it was a busy-ass gas station.
Yeah, I guarantee that. Now, 88 in France, who knows? I don't know. Let us know, fans from France.
So they did have some reminiscent shots that were plucked from the original and used in the remake. The scene where, even though they happened again, the original was done in a much more non-linear fashion. It bounced around more. It was more confusing to a first-time viewer. But I think in a lot of ways, I think some movie viewers respect that a little more because they want to be challenged, whereas you're kind of spoon-fed with the American version for the most part.
Yeah, from the way you guys are talking, it seems like you're more like... The original kind of parses out information throughout the movie.
And it bounces.
Yeah.
It focuses more on the relationship between Rex and Saskia.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it doesn't even make it clear at first that it's going to just kind of like time hop. It doesn't make it clear like, oh, we're going to go into a flashback now. Like
there's no
there's none of that. You're kind of like a minute into the scene and you're like, oh, okay, this has already happened.
Okay.
So there's more.
So it's a little disorienting almost.
During the scene where Raymond is practicing his approach, it was copied in the remake.
Yes.
It's that high angle shot looking down as he's walking around the car, kind of practicing how he's going to walk behind the car. That was a kind of almost like a shot for shot thing. However, the remake, The Vanishing, opened with that shot, whereas the original happened much later in the film. Maybe, I don't know, a third into the film.
Okay.
If not a little more. I did like as well that Raymond, at one point, Mike, you'll know this from the remake, there was the Jeff Bridges character walking with what would appear a work peer. They were walking, and they saw the posters, and they commented on, this guy's, he's very adamant about finding her. He must have really loved her, blah, blah, blah. In the original, he's walking with a friend, and they comment on the posters. And he says, remember we talked about that before, the one time we were drinking or whatever? Remember when I asked you, what if I had done it? If you would still be friends with me? He made a comment like that about, like, what if I had kidnapped her? Would you still be friends with me?
Right.
Which, it's unnerving because like we knew that he did kidnap her.
Yeah, it's almost like he's almost confessing.
Yeah. Well, it's like he's walking that line.
He's as many like serial killers and such do, like they want to tell someone.
Yeah.
Almost like they want to. It's like they want to brag.
So they flip-flopped the look of
I would know.
the look of the female characters in the film. I wonder if that was intentionally done.
Yeah, we noticed that too.
How you had Sandra Bullock character was brunette, obviously,
straight, dark
and then
hair.
and then you have the Nancy Travis character who was like a reddish, blondish, curly hair.
Yeah.
It's flip-flopped in the original version. The Saskia character has the lighter hair, and then the second girlfriend or friend has the darker hair. I thought that was an interesting little flip-flop. Don't know why that was done, but intriguing. Postcards. So yeah, they got right to it in the original with Raymond apparently had been sending postcards out to them relatively regularly.
Yeah.
Like they get to it pretty quickly.
That's already part of his game, that he's already gonna, he did this thing and he's already planning on toying with this guy.
It came much earlier than...
It seems like in the remake that wasn't his initial plan.
No,
it seems like later on.
I think they even sold it in the remake where once he realized there was a girlfriend involved and maybe his angst, Kiefer Sutherland's angst, was backing off a bit, then he like had to light a fuse with the letter.
When it started becoming forgotten.
Yeah. So I thought that was intriguing.
Yeah, he had to reel him in.
The golden egg, which we're going to get to in a little bit, was the golden egg a MacGuffin? Was the golden egg dream a MacGuffin? It was a plot point that drove along a story. Could that be considered a MacGuffin?
Maybe.
That was an awful long thought process.
All right, Justin, could you explain to me the computer scene in the original where Rex is at the computer and then he types something in and then Saskia's name starts popping up all over the place?
I think that was a little confusing to me, but I think that was kind of showing his obsession, like that, like that's all he saw was her name. Like I don't think we were seeing what was really happening on the screen. I think it was just driving home that his obsession over the last 3 years, like his entire life, his identity is finding this woman. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
That's all. Moving on.
What I realized now they certainly hinted at it in the movie, but if you watch the trailer to the original The Vanishing, 1988, it's a horrible trailer. It's absolutely dreadful. In fact, when I watched the trailer, I was like dreading having to watch the movie because it just didn't do it any justice. However, it revealed some information that was not revealed, at least up front, in the film. In the trailer, Raymond's character says straight up, I cheated on my wife, I'm a sociopath, and I'm claustrophobic.
Okay. In the trailer.
In the trailer.
Okay.
They do not, unless I am wrong, and anybody out there listening, if I am wrong, tell me. I don't think they were so blunt about getting those points out in the film. Now, they brushed over things. Obviously, if the wife is asking, who is she? Are you cheating on me? Then I get it. He probably has. But for him to come right out in the first 15 seconds of the trailer and say, I'm a sociopath, I cheated on my wife, and I'm claustrophobic. The claustrophobic thing I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that obviously means a little something. The language situation and the country bouncing situation I thought was more terrifying.
Yeah.
If I think about myself being in a situation where I go to a gas station in my home country and my significant other gets abducted, that would be horrifying. If I go to another country where I don't speak the native language and my significant other gets abducted, it's that much more terrifying.
Sure.
So I certainly got that out of this situation as well. So again, I'm focused on the 1988 version, and in that they use the keychain as, you know, the little shiny thing that she's intrigued by that draws her out, as opposed to that infinity bracelet. And I thought that was cool. In fact, it makes me wonder why did the American version feel that had to change? Did they think that Americans are more materialistic about like jewelry and not so much keychains? Like, I don't know. I don't know why they. I thought that was a nice element, but I don't know why they felt they had to change that.
I think it was a way of which will tie into my problems with the American version, but I think it was a way to tie in this story with the daughter, which they don't really in the original tie the daughter in as much, but that whole infinity thing was.
Yes, you're absolutely right about that, because then in order for the Nancy Travis stuff to work,
she had to.
It has to show that there's a deep love for his daughter.
Yeah.
And the infinity symbol.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Okay.
On the window.
That answers my question. Okay, perfect. Thank you. So that's been established. Next, the disappearing frisbee. Did anybody catch that?
In the...
Oh, again, I'm 88, so Mike, you're useless.
I caught it. Yeah, it was right there.
There is the scene when she is purchasing the frisbee in the 1988 version of this film. She walks up to the counter. She's holding the frisbee in her hand, and in a matter of a frame, it disappears.
Oh, really?
So it's like they tried to meld two takes together.
Maybe she swallowed it,
but they didn't. They didn't quite meld.
Sideways.
Yeah. The Saved by a Sneeze thing we already talked about. That was in both films.
Yeah.
The horrifying, drugging, intense abduction scene in the original,
which I just saw. So yay me! I actually saw that scene.
But he saw it it was on mute.
Yeah,
in the background.
I still saw it.
But the look in her eyes, in Saskia's eyes, the Johanna Tersteeg actress did a phenomenal freaking job.
Yeah,
it was horrifying.
It looks like she's really passing out.
And that might tie into what we said earlier about the Bernard-Pierre Donnadieu was probably being a little more aggressive than he should have been. Yeah.
But did he help make a perfect scene?
It looked.
I guess that's the point I was trying to make. Is
the conundrum.
Yeah.
But yeah, what we see on film is horrifying.
Yeah.
The remake had a nod, as I'm sure listeners out there have probably seen the remake more so than the original. But in the remake, after Jeff Bridges' character gets pulled over for a busted taillight, as the cop is getting ready to walk away, he says, "Put your seatbelt on." And Jeff Bridges says, "Oh, I have a doctor's note. I'm claustrophobic." And he says, "Just put it on." That is a nod to the original. In the original, they get pulled over for not wearing their seatbelts.
Oh.
I thought he got pulled over for also having a bad tail light, because he says something about it. He's like, yeah, I think it's a bad connection.
Oh, is that the case?
I thought so.
I thought it was just...
I can't comment or speculate.
Yeah. Mike, what did you get from that?
Yeah. All right, maybe I missed it. I was under the impression they got pulled over for just the seatbelts, and then the American version used that as a nod.
One thing that stood out to me was like the old seatbelt in the '93 version, where it's that like
the Volvo that comes
where it's in the door and it's like
yeah.
It's like, oh god, I hated those.
Yeah.
I thought that was like dumb.
Yeah. Very intrusive.
Speaking...
What the fuck is that?
It was a daw. So, anyway, my one note...
Oh, yes.
I want to read my one note real quick.
Okay.
It's a quote.
Okay.
When...
About a different movie.
Yes. It's a favorite quote from another movie. No.
Predators.
Predators.
I couldn't tell you a single line from that movie.
Predators. Not Predator. Yeah. Predators.
No,
it's so perfect.
When Kiefer
if I attempted that joke, it would have been so bad because I would have picked something a little more like mainstream.
Yeah, like,
but the fact I would have been like
Spaceballs.
Yeah, it was a Spaceball. Yeah, who's it from? I don't know.
Ghostbusters. Back to the Future.
Like no, Predators.
Predators.
Plural.
All right, go on, Mike. What's your one single solitary point?
When Kiefer Sutherland...
I like turtles.
When Kiefer Sutherland... Jesus Christ.
I like turtles.
When Kiefer Sutherland is talking to the cop at the gas station and he's getting mad and he gets in the cop's face, the cop says, "I strongly urge you to move your face back to where it was."
Oh, yeah.
I was like, man, I was like, give me my phone. I need to write that down. That was awesome.
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah. So
that's all I got.
He didn't roll right up into his face.
He did. And the cop was calm about it, but he was firm.
Yeah. The writer of the book, how do you say his name? Tim Krabbe?
Krabbe.
It's spelled Krabbe.
Yeah.
So he wrote the book.
I'm going to read that.
The Golden Egg. And we're about to get ready to dive into
reveal our eggs
to dive into some uber spoilers at this point, because now we're going to start discussing the end of the original film, which is different from the remake. So you have been warned. So the Rex character in the original, just like the Jeff character in the remake, has to make the decision whether he wants to drink the tea, get knocked out, and be taken to wherever his significant other went to learn,
through
finally
the
get through the same experience, finally get the answers.
Would you do it?
Well,
in the exact same circumstances.
Yes, I feel like I would absolutely do it, but I feel like even though I know I'd be playing with fire, I'd have to lay some kind of fallback plan. Let somebody know something.
Some kind of out.
Hey, I'm going with this guy with this license plate, FYI, even if you don't see this till tomorrow.
Yeah, but in the remake, he tells him, "You're coming with me right now."
Yeah.
He's like, if you talk to anyone, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't really have that. It was just spur of the moment. Like, he didn't plan to go with him. It was, he showed up, "You're coming with me or not." Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I would want to know.
Dude,
I don't like to promote torture. However, I feel like there's a certain level I would have been able to grab that guy and put him somewhere and take a blowtorch to his kneecaps.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's a certain point where you could probably get him to say something.
Well, I think that Nancy Travis' character proved it.
Yeah.
That he's...
Yeah.
What's the word? Fallible?
Fallible.
Let me try that again. I think the Nancy Travis character proved that he was...
Obelisk. Is that the word you were looking for?
I think the Nancy Travis character proved that he was fallible, and they probably could have done that. I mean, he wasn't anything special. He was a normal human man.
Yeah, he was smart, but he wasn't like a genius, and he didn't have super strength. He was an average man.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the situation. So
he did.
The films take different paths once the tea has been drunk. Is that right? Or drank? Drunk?
Just so we don't get a lot of hate
drank
mail, I think it was coffee.
Was it coffee?
Yeah,
I think it definitely in the remake it was coffee. Yeah. Because I think so.
Was it coffee in the original?
Yeah, I think it was.
Okay, coffee. I'm sorry.
Coffee.
My apologies.
Coffee.
So once the coffee is consumed by the respective Rex and or Jeff characters, the films go in different directions.
They branch.
The American version obviously goes in the direction of him following the path that Sandra Bullock's character followed, but the Rita character coming in and saving the day.
Yeah.
Which, it was nice having some closure. You know, he got to learn what he wanted to learn, but then he still lived in the end. Nice, but not...
I think I can tell where
maybe not
goes.
Yeah. So in the original, the Rex character drinks the coffee and wakes up buried alive, much the same.
Yeah.
And no one is coming to save him.
And that's it.
That's it, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's kind
so
of
now herein lies the golden egg.
I like that better.
So with the golden egg, there were a couple things throughout. Like, I kept looking for the clues because I felt they mentioned it a couple times. So at one point, it seemed to me that when he was in the coffin and his lighter, his gas station lighter, is now running out of fuel, which is just so fitting that it's starting to die 3 years later. In that moment, it's running out of fuel. At one point, the flame itself looked like a golden egg as he's looking at it.
Okay.
Although I would like to take a guess. In fact, I'll let you say first. I think I know what you are going to say is the golden egg, and I will then confirm or deny.
Okay.
So,
and I will say nothing.
What do you feel ultimately the golden egg was?
Oh, I personally feel the golden egg was the entombment. There's many levels of entombment.
We are in the first of but many stages of entombment.
Yeah. Throwback to short films from Pat and Mike's early days. Yeah. But no, I think the golden egg is the entombment. You think of an egg, it conceals something. You know, it encases something.
Yeah, encased. Yeah.
And I think that's what she was, the golden egg. And then in her dream, him being
near her, also in a golden egg.
Yeah, and even at the end of the movie, when it shows them both in those oval circles in the newspaper, and then focuses in on them, it's like...
So there's a lot of references.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's like, it's heavily
That's very French.
Yeah, yeah, oui.
Yeah, and now... hearing that ending that I did not see, you guys probably know me. I like dark endings like that. Yeah. I do.
It's bold.
It is. No. And I can see why the American one did not go that route, especially during that time period, and probably because it was, that if it had been done like on a low budget or something, sure. It may have gone that route, but this was more, had star power and all that. Yeah. So they wanted
wants to see Kiefer Sutherland in the 90s getting buried alive forever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you're going to bury Kiefer Sutherland alive? No.
The general American audiences would want that happy ending, that catharsis.
I mean, they could have buried Ralph Macchio. I don't think anybody would have cared.
No one wink an eye. So, but I mean, this goes back to what we said in Phantom of Paradise with the Hellbound Train. Didn't we talk about that? About like Americans take a story, like the Faustian type story.
Oh yeah.
And you always win. Americans can't not win in their versions of stories. Like they can't let the villain win.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what happened. That's what happened in this situation. Like, well, no, American audience don't want to see the killer just get away.
Do you think that when he remade it, that the studio?
Oh, the studio absolutely did not want the original version.
Of course.
In fact, what happened was he made a deal to be able to do the original version.
He had to change
and the last minute, the guy who was in charge went over to work for Disney, and they reshuffled everything.
That always happens a lot.
And they then came in and said, no, you're not doing that ending.
Yeah.
And that's why he was approached years later, by an American television station saying, hey, we would love for you to do an Americanized version with the original ending, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
So...
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I figured that. I had an inkling.
How horrifying. And then the icing on the cake of this horror is it ties back into what Amanda said about the remake, how she wanted kind of closure with the family of Barney.
His family, yeah.
Well, what it cuts to in the original is business as usual.
Yeah.
They have no idea there is bodies buried in the yard that their daughters are playing in.
They're none the wiser. They're watering the plant.
And he's just sitting there on a bench.
What's his name? Raymond?
Raymond.
He got away with it.
Just got away with it.
There was a alternate ending,
which was similar
where
to
he gets arrested or something.
Yeah,
but I think he ultimately felt it was kind of cheap. Or
yeah,
something.
they did.
Yeah,
they filmed it. That was, I think, the closest they came to having an Americanized version in the original. But I guess even at the time, what's his name? George Sluizer thought it cheapened it. It took away from everything.
I agree with that. I'm glad they left that out.
Entertainment Weekly ranked this the 25th scariest film of all time. Talking about the 88 version. 25th scariest of all time.
Yeah, the remake I feel like
What's the 24th?
I have no
wimps
idea.
out.
23rd?
Tim Krabbe.
Ishtar.
Tim Krabbe. Do you say crab? It's got the little thing at the end too.
Krabbe.
I imagine it'd be Krabbe, but I have no idea.
Tim Krabbe.
Krabby Patty?
I don't know. Krabbe, the writer of The Golden Egg, he said he was inspired by a missing French woman who was on a bus tour. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Did you see the whole story?
Oh, that he found out that she was alive and well.
Well, yeah, but did you see how they found out she was alive and well? This French woman was on a bus tour. At some point in the tour, she got changed. People thought she was missing. She ended up taking part in the search for herself, not realizing she was looking for
I didn't
her.
know that. That's hilarious.
And it wasn't until like 3 o'clock in the morning that somebody realized they were looking for a woman who was helping them look for that woman.
Holy shit.
So they called the search off because she was fine. But
here she is, right next to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Searching through this pile of leaves.
Wow.
Thank you.
So he based it on that?
Based it on that, because he saw an article come out saying there was a missing woman. But years later, he reached out to her and thanked her for inspiring.
Did he give her any money?
Oh, probably.
I'm just kidding.
Gave her bus fare.
Did he give her some residuals?
Oh, the coins that they buried by the tree. What did I miss with that?
That was just like some cutesy thing.
But that
they did
never
together.
came
It
back.
did.
When?
Because when Raymond, when he's trying to convince him to drink the coffee, and in this version, I feel like in the American version, he's like, yeah, fuck it, I'll drink the coffee, whatever. But in here, he's like...
He struggles with it.
He struggled a little bit, but in this one, in the original, I feel like he really struggled. He's like, no, fuck you. And that's when I was pointing, he threw the cup. Or no, that was after he drank it. But he's like, no, I'm not drinking it. But he walks over to the trees where they buried the coins, and he digs up and he sees the coins, and it reminds him of her. And then he runs around the trees where Sarah said was comical and stupid. They just ran around the trees. But I think it was him just building up the courage to go, all right, I'm ready. Yeah. And he just goes and drinks the coffee and he throws the cup and he's like, fuck it, I'll do it. Because he sees the coins and it reminds him.
And what's funny, too, he was inspired in that moment by a story that Raymond had told earlier about him jumping off the balcony.
Which we never touched on, but it was a huge thing.
Yep.
About the psychosis of this. Yeah, holy shit, there's so much to talk about here.
Yeah, there's a lot there.
Yeah. Just the psychosis of this guy, and which was a huge thing I wanted to talk about, but we're getting short on time.
He said that what was his wording? He said, obviously it's human nature to want to talk yourself out of doing something like that, but he just had to convince himself just to do it.
Just to do it, yeah.
And one thing I thought was interesting, I saw on IMDb, they got it wrong. They said on IMDb, because the Raymond character claimed to have lost 2 fingers in that jump. The actor himself was missing the ends of 2 fingers.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The end of his thumb and the end of his middle finger. On IMDb, they have that wrong. They have it wrong as like a goof. He claims it would be missing fingers, but he has all 10 fingers all movie. No, look at his hand. He's missing the ends of 2 fingers. It's not the entire fingers.
But still.
Yeah. So anyway, but they got that wrong on IMDb. But yes, I thought that was nice that they wrapped that back around. He said he broke his ankle and lost 2 fingers or something like that. I thought that was cool. That was neat that they circled that whole thing back around. That story that Rex didn't give 2 shits about hearing on the car ride eventually was what may have been the tipping point
brought him
between
around.
him.
That was and there was and this is a huge thing. George Sluizer, sorry, I apologize for butchering his name. One thing in an interview I watched with him is this is something I love about film and life in general is like and I'm going to misquote him, but it was something along the line is he's like, there's no black and white in this story. It's all gray. Because even to the point at the beginning, like when I said when he smirks when he's walking away, he's not completely unfallible, Rex. Like there's also this like given, like this tit for tat kind of like there's a struggle like between their relationship, like, and even when they make up, when they're in the thing and she gets on top and they're saying the thing, there's still this uneasy look in her eyes. Like there's this, and that's what I was saying about the acting with the face.
Wait, when they're on the thing and making up on the thing?
Yeah. Was that not clear?
Yeah, I'm lost.
Yeah, I think there's a thing and then the other thing, and they were making up. You don't remember that? No, they were on the lawn, and she jumps on top of them.
Oh,
she's
yeah.
Saying,
okay. They're like under the trees at the rest stop, like in the grassy area.
Yeah, and like, oh, they're making up, but there's still this
knoll.
uneasiness about them because they never really fully made up.
Sure,
and
it's like that awkward, like... You still feel...
I feel like she's saying, I'm going to say things are okay because I want to have a nice vacation, but things are not okay.
Yeah,
and they still have room where they need to work shit out. But also at the same time, the idea is this obsession that the killer has about everything needs to be a certain way, and it's obsession, and it's all about obsession. And then, which is exactly what Rex does. And he's just obsessed with this. He needs to know. It's this obsession about needing to know. And that's what bonds the two characters, which they don't really have, like in the American version. There's never any bonding. Or there's never any moments between them where they're having a moment. Where in the original 88 version, there's times when they're at rest stops and stuff and they're talking and they're like talking about the how names mean different things and stuff, and it's kind of an awkward moment, but they're still sharing moments together.
Yeah, that's right. They were talking about how the language barriers and what some names mean in other languages.
Yeah, and they're kind of like picking at each other, but there's still a sense of camaraderie or like similarity, which they don't really touch on in the American version. Like the American version kind of focuses more on like like how they're at odds and stuff like that, but this one shows how they're more similar.
It does show more of a yin and a yang in the American, which I think is typical. Yeah, I mean, as an American, I can say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right. The original definitely it had that gray area. It's like, who the fuck am I supposed to be rooting for here? It's kind of weird. Like it shows the complexity of both of those characters and kind of the positions they were in. And I mean, let me rephrase. I know who I'm supposed to be rooting for, but you know what I'm saying.
But you can sympathize.
Yeah, you can sympathize with kind of both sides with. Obviously, this Raymond character is a twisted man.
Yeah.
He needs help. But it was definitely, they left it more gray. They painted kind of a more subtle picture. So it wasn't as like in your face, like, oh, here's the bad guy and he's got the weirdisms, It wasn't that clear. So, all right. I feel like there was one. Do you have any final points on your notes you haven't touched on? Yeah, well, let's touch on some because I feel like there's a few big ones that we missed. And then I want to transition to the next phase in the show here.
There's some deep stuff about the killer psychosis, but we'll leave that for fans to talk to us about.
Well, just rattle them off.
No, it's too much. Other people do it. The golden egg, we mentioned that. Americans Can't Lose, that was another thing. The no black and white. One
final thing that we have to mention, because if any review of any sort is going to talk about these films, you have to talk about the motivation of the Barney/Raymond character.
Yes.
Just as one scene, he was with his family. They see a young girl drowning in a lake.
Oh, that's a huge thing. Yeah.
He, without thinking, just like his moment on the balcony when he decided to jump, he just he just pushed aside all
reservations.
Yeah, pushed aside
inhibitions.
Inhibition. What's the other word I'm trying to think of? Instincts.
Threw caution to the wind.
And he just jumped. He went for it. So when he sees this young girl drowning, no hesitation, jumps in. The daughter then makes a comment, "Dad, you're a hero." And the Jeff Bridges character in the remake tells Kiefer Sutherland that story.
Yeah, but it's a little different than that.
Okay.
He made it sound like he didn't even really want to save this girl, but he did it more for his daughter so that she would think he's a hero.
So it was more of a selfish thing.
Yes.
Yeah,
he did say that.
That's a good point.
He did say that.
So in the original,
Way to join us in the conversation.
No problem.
By the way, that was powerful.
Yeah.
2.5 hours in.
Yeah.
So the original, though, sold it in a different light. Was that his natural reaction, or was he doing it to impress?
I think it was a similar situation.
Meaning,
the way I took it, that he was doing
To
it.
what I said.
Yeah, for the attaboys.
yeah.
The adoration
So-
of his daughter.
So,
Yeah.
but then I think
The
they did.
glaring eyes of aspiration.
I think they did a better job.
Glowing eyes.
I think they did a better job in the original. After the fact, as they were walking away, the daughter says, something to the effect of, "Dad, you're a hero," and then he makes a comment and says, "Yes, I'm a hero, but you have to watch heroes because they can become victims to excess," or something like that.
Yeah, there's some kind
I'm
of
very much butchering the quote, but pretty much saying you got to watch heroes. So it pretty much kind of told us where his head was at, but he used that character, both the Barney and the Raymond characters said this was a test for them personally. I know I can be the hero, but can I be the villain?
Yeah.
So am I getting that wrong?
Yeah, no,
but I
I
think,
think- yeah, no,
to
you're right,
encapsulate
He
it.
wanted to prove that he could do the opposite end of the spectrum, basically.
Yeah.
Like,
he's a man of science. He needs.
it was an experiment. It was an experiment to him,
Yeah.
but
So I just wanted to make sure we touched on that, because you can't really
That is important.
discuss
It
this
is.
film
Yeah,
without
yeah.
talking about the motivation.
yeah.
Anyway,
Which brings to my next thing. If you had to, in this room, if you had to have someone buried alive, who would it be? Not in this room. Let's people you know, and play along at home.
I'm the smallest, so I would live longer because I
use less oxygen.
I use less oxygen. And there'd
You
be-
have small lungs.
and there'd be more room for more oxygen around me.
You could stand upright in a.
You could probably start a whole new society in there.
I will be the Worm King.
Yeah. No.
Holy shit.
No, we kid. It's all horrific.
We gotta rate
stuff.
this pup.
Oh yeah, we do, don't we? All
Yeah.
right. So on a scale, I haven't even thought about that. On a scale from 1 to 10 MacGuffins.
Well, are we rating both? Well, I'm not rating both.
No, yeah, you can't. How's that going to work? Yeah, we're gonna rate both, but you are, Mike. I don't know. You screwed it up.
Well, that's not. Well, yeah.
Mike is clearly going to get a no vote on the
Original 88.
on the original 88 version, but because of that, I'm going to have you go first. What do you give the 93 version of The Vanishing? On a scale of 1 to 10 MacGuffins, 10 being the best.
I would go with a solid 7.1.
Give it that extra little one.
Now, I'll rate the other one
Yeah, please do.
because I would rate it higher based on just the ending and what little I did see of it, like on the screen here.
I mean, you can rate it.
It would be
I might put
higher.
an asterisk.
It would be higher for me
Okay.
because of that ending.
So what would you give it?
I'm going to give it a 7.6.
But you know, this does kind of take away from our legitimacy a little bit. We got a guy who didn't even watch a movie who's rating it.
But he brings up a really good point.
Yeah, maybe.
I would rate it higher because of that ending. I know that.
I'm adding an asterisk.
All right. We're Barry Bondsing it.
All right, so
Are we going to get sued if I use that as a...
no. Well, maybe he
an
might be
adjective
desperate.
Or a...
Justin,
Yes.
what do you
Just
think?
don't get Munson out in the middle of nowhere. See, I'm glad you guys both got that.
I did, yeah. As an avid bowler, I
Yeah.
definitely got that.
Oh, by the way,
As an avid Amish man,
I think
As someone who has had a bowl cut once in her life.
totally. Oh, no, that's not what I want.
come on, who's rating? Get it up.
Tim Krabbe.
Yeah, but the writer guy.
Yeah, he apparently was also a like a hardcore chess. Apparently, he was into chess.
Oh,
Oh, really?
really?
Because he was also a hardcore cyclist.
Oh,
Which
that-
is why the cyclist thing comes up in the
I think
original.
he wrote a book. Like
Yeah,
he wrote
he did.
like a well-respected book on cycling.
Oh, wow.
He did, yeah, absolutely.
But I think he was also like a chess master
Wow,
of some
that's-
sort.
That's some next level.
I want to play. I'm going to play some chess with him. I'll lose, but I'll do it anyway. All right, can you guys rate this mother?
I can't.
So what you got?
Me?
Yeah, you.
All right, shit. You know I hate rating things, and I have to mention this every time, but I will do this.
Yeah, he was a former champion chess player. He maintains a chess website and is renowned for his writings on the subject, in particular on chess problems. For instance, one of his publications is devoted to the Babson task.
Yeah, no, I don't
Krabbe once authored a chess puzzle which featured a rook casting vertically, before this move was specifically disallowed. So he's like hardcore.
Yeah.
Not only hardcore into chess, but then writing novels about it.
Yeah, I'd be interested to read that because as someone who
I wouldn't.
You know, I play a lot of board games and stuff, and I hate chess, so I'd be interested.
Oh, I like chess.
See, I actually
All right.
like chess,
Our friend Rob,
but I don't want to read about it.
Rob Bristow and I, we spent. Look, this is embarrassing, but we spent like a long summer one year.
Your little summer fling.
No, like hardcore playing chess.
That's a summer fling.
Like intense chess playing.
Really?
Like 15-year-olds. I don't know what the hell was wrong with us.
I remember one time going over Rob's, and you and Rob were playing darts in the dark in the basement.
No, it was fun. It was better than that. It was
no,
you
there's no-
you turn the lights off.
Darks.
There was darks. There was a dart board. You took the dart, you turned the lights off, and whoever was it spun and then threw the dart and tried to hit the board.
That's not fun at all.
In the dark.
That's fun as a kid when you're not paying for medical insurance.
Yeah,
Your parents were like, "Oh my god, this is ridiculous."
I was like, I'm not playing that.
You didn't play?
No, that you guys stopped when I got there. I was like, I'm not playing that.
Oh, you didn't
That's
fall to the peer pressure?
super dangerous. Even as a teenager, I was like,
We're okay.
Wait, we should save that conversation when we do a film on underground sports.
all right, do your rating,
Here's what I'm gonna do.
please. I need to go to bed, dude.
I'm gonna drag this out. because
I know you
never
are.
Let you go to sleep ever. I'm gonna give the original an 8, and the remake a 7. I kept it simple because I don't know how to rate these. I definitely like the original better. When I started watching the original one, I did not like it better, but once I saw both of them in completion, I definitely the original one gets right to the point. Like the entire focus of this story, it's like focuses on the couple right away, focuses on the relationship, focuses on her disappearing, focuses on the guy being in that case, focuses on the obsession of this other guy trying to find her, and boom, it's like it's more direct. Where the remake, I thought, kind of was like trying to squeeze too much shit in. It's like, now we have to put this extra story in about this extra character. Like in the original, the second girlfriend is like just there to be supportive.
And then eventually bails.
And it just bails. She's like,
abandons
I'm
ship.
done with this shit.
Yeah.
Where in the second one, obviously, that she becomes like a main character. But I do like in the American remake that she's a strong.
I thought she was a total badass.
Force. Yeah, she was a total badass. Yeah, absolutely. But it all goes to.
But
like,
when watching it with fresh eyes, it was good. When watching it in comparison to the original, it was kind of cheap.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
if you watch it on its own, it's like, oh, this is cool, and then
Yeah.
you watch it. Yeah, exactly. I agree. So that's it. I say I give it an 8 and a 7 respectively.
All right,
just to
cool.
keep it simple.
I think I'm kind of in the same ballpark there. The original Vanishing, I say the original. The original for me, Vanishing, the 1993 version, which is the remake, that one definitely holds like a special place in my heart. And movies and I are very emotional.
Yeah.
Like I can, especially some of these movies, they encapsulate moments of my life, and this is one of those movies. So I do, and there are elements to this that still get me, like that give me the chills. The music, like I said, the music is very fugitive-esque, even though they were written by different composers. But it brings me to a place, and it fills me with dread, and it gives me chills at times. It does all the things it's supposed to do because, I was kind of. This is one of the movies I was raised on. Like this was, So I definitely really appreciate this movie. I'm giving it a 3. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, it's definitely
3,000.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it. Yeah, I'm closer to where Mike is Well, I guess you and Mike are only off by 0.1. But
which is pretty amazing since he didn't even bother to watch the original. But they like nailed it.
How are we off by 0.1 if his was 7 and an 8 and mine was 7.1 and 7.6?
No, yours is, I'm just talking the 93 version. His was 7 and yours was 7.1.
Oh.
I'm going to give the God, I keep saying original. Original to me. I'm going to give the remake 93
any extra crispy
7.5. 7.5. I do have to go higher with the original, the 88 version, because it was the original.
Yeah.
And it was no holds barred.
It's that ending.
And we're just going to go for it.
The remake didn't really improve on anything. It just changed it. And that's the big thing.
It improved on one thing in my eyes.
Oh, okay.
Jeff Bridges took that character to another level. Now, I know you could I know you could say that the way it was played, the Raymond character was played was better because it was more straight, more subtle. He was a normal guy. But to me, the Jeff Bridges character gave me the fucking willies.
Yeah.
I thought odd. And I think they knew that. And I think that's why they shifted so heavy in the Barney character. They opened with him. They told us his story first. They put us in his shoes.
Yeah.
We were following his path. I think they recognized what they had with Jeff Bridges. And for better or for worse, they shifted the film to account for that. And I think that's the one element where they did improve. Now, maybe some will say that they hurt themselves because they took away from what made the Raymond character so terrifying, because he is just a guy. But I don't know, Jeff Bridges, I just thought he absolutely crushed it.
Yeah, he was really good in it, but
but I thought he played it enough. It wasn't so over the top that it was like, oh, he was a skeevy professor. No, he looked like a professor. He looked like a guy that could be my teacher. Yeah. He wasn't so obscenely bizarre that it was like, oh, they're trying too hard.
Yeah.
It seemed a little more subtle than, maybe not as subtle as the original, but at first glance, it's not like, oh, this guy's he abducts women.
He was no Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah, he wasn't a Hannibal Lecter, But I thought I could say that they potentially improved in that aspect. But I could see the argument saying that they didn't improve. They
maybe like the subtlety of the other.
So,
but I think his overall performance being so strong hurts the overall story.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
So
with
right.
That.
You're right. Yeah, I agree with you. What I'm trying to say is I agree with what you're saying, but also reflects your rating that you gave to it.
Well, what I want to say, that's a good point. Having followed the two paths now, I like the path that the original brought me down. I liked being on the path of the tortured man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It made me feel that angst and that horror even more than I did in the 93 version, which I already felt a lot, but that was having been introduced. The Jeff Bridges character is introduced while the opening credits are rolling.
They're not even done.
You don't even have a chance to catch your breath, and you're already learning about this guy. So they made a conscious effort to take you down his path, and I think in the long run, they may have hurt the impact of that Americanized version. So I think I like the path they took me down in the original, but I still think Jeff Bridges absolutely crushed it in that role.
Yeah.
So,
because he's great.
I can only imagine if they took Jeff Bridges and placed him into the original version as it is cut, it would have been absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's just me.
No.
All right, I'm going to give it an 8.5.
Damn.
I think what this film... Oh, and we didn't even talk about Kubrick. Stanley Kubrick.
Oh, yeah, there's so much more.
Gives it... He says it's the most horrifying film he's ever seen.
I think I read that.
And the director, George... What the freak?
Slotzer?
George...
Sluizer.
Sluizer. He even asked Kubrick, he was like, have you ever seen The Shining?
Yeah.
And even Kubrick was like, that's nothing. This is horrifying.
Yeah.
But
I feel bad butchering his name, though, because I watched an interview with him. He was amazing.
Yeah. I know.
What is the next thing we're moving to, by the way? Because this might fit into
personal
that.
story part.
Yeah.
This is all personal story stuff.
Yeah, so again, anyone who has listened to the show before knows that a MacGuffin is a plot device used to drive along a story in film and book and whatnot. Since we are the MacGuffin Guild, we like to use the film that we are discussing as a MacGuffin to drive along our conversations. So that's typically where we go with our next section, Justin, if you were wondering.
Yeah. Okay, so do you want me to start off with this?
Well, unless you have any notes from the film that you didn't get out, because I would love for you to get anything out. Now is your chance.
There's so much to get out that I think I'm pretty good with the film. I think there's a lot I want listeners to discuss with each other, maybe have a conversation about it, because there's
Or have a conversation with us via social media.
Yeah, or show up at our house. We don't care. I'll give you my address.
Yeah.
I'll give you Justin's address, too.
Yeah. I want to tell you about the second time in my life I was almost abducted.
All right.
Not so much the first time?
Not so much the first time. So I was probably 14, 15 years old. I'm
wow.
Janine, Barbie, and myself. We go to the movies all the time.
For listeners, Janine is my sister.
Yeah.
Barbie is an old friend of Justin and my sister Janine's, who I'm not even sure what. She live across country now? I'm not sure.
Yeah, she lives out in Washington.
Okay.
Yeah. Which I'm not going to give her exact address because people are weird. No, I'm just kidding. But we were all friends and we were hanging out at we go to the movie theater, which was in like a strip mall. And your mom would drop us off and pick us up. And I remember this one particular time. I don't even remember what movie we were going to see. Probably The Vanishing. And we went to
It would be totally you to get abducted while you're going to see The
Vanishing.
Vanishing.
Like, oh, this is so typical. I was like, maybe hauled into a van. No.
Sold into slavery.
Yeah.
Sold into human trafficking.
Human trafficking.
God
Yeah.
damn.
On a lighter note, human trafficking.
Yeah.
No. So yeah, we're good. We're done the movie. We're waiting for your mom to show up, so we have time to kill. And this is back when there was payphones everywhere. So
For you kids at home, payphones were these things that used to be like strategically placed around outside where you could put coins in and make a phone call.
But you had to remember phone numbers.
Yeah, you had to, or well, they usually had a phone book if you didn't remember, but
yeah, strange times.
it's
times.
weird.
So we're killing time. So we're like, let's call each other from the payphone. So I went to one payphone. The payphones would always have the phone number, the phone number of the payphone.
Yeah.
So they took down the payphone number and they went around the corner to another payphone. And they were like calling me like, oh, we're calling each other on the phone. Like this dumb teenage shit. We didn't have anything.
Teenager?
Like kids do now with their cell phones.
Wait, you were a teenager?
Well, I was like,
No, I'm just kidding.
yeah.
Where people now, they'll text each other while they're sitting next to each other.
Yeah, exactly. It was a similar thing.
Yeah.
We're calling each other on these payphones from around the corner. So as I'm calling, we're like yucking it up and stuff. I hang up. Some guy walks up to me. And he's like, "Hey, I need your help." I'm like, "Okay, I'm listening. I'm a sensible guy. I like to help people." And he's like,
"Are you about a size 14?"
And I was like, "What?" And he's like, push me into a van. No, he came up and he was like, I'm trying to help. I'm an undercover cop and I'm trying to find these missing children. Do you want to help me?
So weird.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Didn't Bundy use that tactic?
Oh my God.
Yes, and you didn't need to growl at me. What the fuck was that?
Demon came out.
Is it a full moon?
I told you my throat does that.
I'm the gatekeeper. Are you the keymaster? The fuck was that?
Just weird ass esophagus.
Justin said, he said yes, and you didn't have to growl at me. Oh my God.
Holy shit.
Anyway, who was talking?
So back to me being abducted.
Oh yeah.
So then he's like, "Yeah, do you want to help out?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I'll help out." And he's like, "I need you to come with me." And he's like some guy, like middle-aged guy in a tracksuit. I'm like, "Okay, you look like an undercover cop, so I'm with you."
Checks out.
Your story checks out. You're either an undercover cop or you're like you're in like the.
I am American undercover cop.
Yeah, I am undercover cop. I am not an extra in a mob film in America. Anyway, so I was like, okay, and I'm like, I'm not going anywhere with you. I was like, and as I'm saying that, like Barbie and Janine round the corner to come back, and he's like, oh, are those your friends? I'm like, yeah, and he's like, oh, they have to stay here. I'm like, yeah, not gonna happen. But I wasn't like as cool as that. I'm like, oh, I don't think so.
Yeah.
And then he eventually leaves, and I told them, I was like, yeah, this guy just tried to steal me, and it was just really weird. Like, it's just a weird experience. But like, one thing that's always haunted me for the rest of my life is like, I never went to the police or something. Like, there's some weirdo trying to steal people.
Yeah, did he do that to someone else?
May have gotten somebody else.
Yeah, I was just kind of like, oh, that was weird. Fuck this guy. And then we went off. But I was like, I could have prevented. If I was went to the cops and be like, yeah, there's a dude in a fucking black and white tracksuit trying to. But there's probably like some undercover cop somewhere, or some cop like who's retired now. I was like, I remember one time I was undercover, trying to get this dumb kid to help me, and he was like, fuck off. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, who knows? But I'm pretty sure he's a creeper.
Yeah, that's
I was a
weird.
pretty cute looking kid.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think I was at the time. I was very self-conscious. But later on, I showed pictures to adults. They're like, oh, you're a good-looking kid.
I mean, that's horrifying.
Yeah.
Though. That's local to here.
That was in I
mean, you don't have to give Oh, okay.
Where we used to go to movies.
Yeah. We're the only movie theater that used to be around for us.
Yeah. Okay. So, God, that's horrifying.
That was the second time.
So, tell me about the first.
So the first time, this is when I was 8 years old. So my dad, he liked to pick up hitchhikers and bring them home, and they kind of lived with us for a while. Sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he would just pick up strays?
Yeah, my dad he picked up strays. My dad was a stray too. So like, he was a very, there was a strange carny code thing going on.
Carnies. Smell like cabbage.
Yeah, but
God damn, another Austin Powers reference. That's 3.
And I don't really recall the exact situation because I was so young, but I remember at one time, it was around Christmas time, he brought home these 2 women that he picked up that were like hitchhiking or something. And I apologize in advance because my story growing up was these women were gypsies. Mm-hmm. But from my understanding, that is not a...
It's not a
politically correct.
It's not a politically correct term. Mm-hmm. So I apologize, and I'm not really sure the exact right term. So,
so for lack of a better term, just
at the time,
to your knowledge, they were gypsies
at the time.
But there is no offense intended because we do not know the appropriate term to use.
And to be fair, the way the story goes, they tried to steal us. So, give me a little headway on this one. Yeah. So these women stayed with us, and they seemed pretty nice. And everything, and then like a week or so later, which I wish I could get the story back from my mom, but I can't now. But like a week or so later, these like men show up at our door, like asking us all these questions, stuff like men in suits and stuff. And apparently there was some kind of like collection of people who lived in this like house like down the road from us. Who were like abducting children and stuff, and I don't think
Jesus God.
Yeah, and I don't think I was like a target because like my younger brother and sister are like blonde haired and blue eyed, like so they're like probably more like they're like, oh, we don't want that shit eyed kid, like, you know what I mean, like
shit eyed kid.
Yeah, like you can keep this one, you know what I mean. I think it was more of like my younger brother.
We don't want that Ichabod Crane looking motherfucker.
Yeah, hey, that kid's kind of ghoulish.
Shit eyed kid.
You can keep that kid.
That kid's kind of ghoulish.
Yeah. But that was a really weird situation. Like,
would he come out of a well?
Wow, that's pretty weird.
So yeah, that's again, you don't have to give specific areas, but local to here.
Yeah, that was back when I lived up in Delco.
Crazy.
Mike, you ever been abducted?
I didn't mean to set the bar real high. Should we?
My story by comparison is nothing. I mean, besides the fact that my parents probably were freaking out. I was very young at the time, but I must have been like maybe 4 or 5, maybe. And we were in Washington, D.C., and we were in the Smithsonian. And I guess, like, being a little kid, I was very easily distracted or whatever. And I looked away from my parents, and they walked, moved somewhere else, and then...
Walked or escaped?
Yeah, they escaped, yeah. Probably. They tried. So I guess when I turned back around, I saw someone who was maybe dressed similarly to my dad or whatever, and I started following this person. Just, not like up with them, but just, I was like, oh, there's my dad over there. So I went that way. And then when I did that, my parents completely lost me because I was off somewhere else, and it was a whole like to do. Like they had to like.
How long did did it last? Like hours, or was it like 20 minutes?
It might have been like minutes,
2 days.
I don't know. But I can only imagine like their panic.
I thought maybe you got maybe you were like in the Neanderthal section and they just couldn't. They
Distinguish.
They couldn't distinguish between you and the mannequins.
The animatronics are amazing.
Look at that little Neanderthal
Look at the
boy.
cranium on that one.
It's so bulbous and shiny.
Very lifelike.
Magnificent.
Look, it's drool.
No, but I mean other than that, nobody's ever tried to approach me.
Well, I'm not shocked.
Still, no one ever still doesn't approach me.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever been.
Mike's the only person to ever get like abducted and immediately given back.
They're like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
No,
I'm just kidding.
Grabbed the wrong one. I meant to grab the one standing next to him.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. Awkward.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever.
And we're totally making light of children being kidnapped.
Oh, I know.
Which it's horrible.
It
but
is. Yeah, but that
you gotta
goes
make
without
jokes.
saying.
Well, I think I just went. I think I'm in that category of just described. I almost got stolen twice. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're certainly not trying to make light of any of this.
No.
But
not at all.
it-
But-
we're
Fair,
just-
I'm a pretty oblivious person, so it's probably been more than twice that someone tried to.
and maybe that's happened to me, and I just am unaware of it. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm certainly unaware. Thank God. It's horrifying.
Yeah,
You get
that's-
stolen ever? Or
No, I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm unaware of.
Now, how about alien abduction? Has anyone been abducted by aliens?
No.
listeners?
Are
might
you
have.
sure?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, who knows? I've seen a UFO.
Have you? Mm-hmm. Like for real?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, you want me to tell you the story?
I mean, sure.
It's going to be hard to tell on the podcast, but maybe this will be for us. So,
When was this?
this was somewhere between 93 and 96.
So you were a kid.
13, 16.
Hotbed of UFO activity around
Yeah.
that time.
So, me, my sister, so I was in the back seat.
I feel like maybe you did tell me that.
I was on the right side back seat. My sister was in
Passenger side?
Yeah, passenger
Okay.
side back seat. My sister was in the passenger side front seat, and my mom was driving. Okay, we're driving on a road which is relatively
common. People will drive on roads.
no, relatively barren. It's not a city street. It's open. There's lots of
Sequestered?
fields,
Secluded.
rural.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're driving. You guys will know it's 213.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we're driving on 213. We're approaching the Brentwood Golf Course on the right. This is when we lived in Earlville.
Okay.
So we're driving
Before you lived behind the golf
Before you live behind
before we lived in that area.
Yeah.
So Chesapeake City's behind us. Elkton is in front of us. We're driving. We haven't even yet approached Baker's Restaurant. on the
Okay.
left. To the right, above that Brentwood community that is there, in the sky, Janine and I, and she will confirm this, we saw the three lights, the triangle shape, UFO, going like this.
Really?
Me and my sister saw it, and we were looking at it, and we were watching it, and it was for a minute. It was like, it wasn't just like a split second, what did I just see? It was like, holy shit, we're watching this thing. And it was just like, almost like a infinity figure eight. It was just, going in circles.
Yeah.
But it was zipping all around and moving so fluidly. It was not a helicopter. And then finally, what really like sealed the deal for me was when it did this.
And just took off.
Just
Zipped
disappeared off into the
Wow.
distance. No sound,
Wow.
nothing. It just went gone in a flash. Crazy.
off. That is crazy.
It is.
We saw that.
And I believe
saw that with my eyes.
I believe
I
it.
do not know what that was. And it was not a weather balloon.
Yeah.
It was not a helicopter. It was pre-drone days.
Yeah.
Had it been last week, I would think, somebody's flying a drone.
Unless it was a military drone.
Do you think it was maybe like marsh gas or something like that?
Yeah, maybe it was marsh gas.
Possible. So, I mean, I don't know if we discussed this on the thing. I have a group of friends. Sarah and I have a group of friends that we catch up with once a month. Well, we haven't since COVID, but we have a group of friends we catch up with once a month that we watch horror movies with. They're great people, fantastic people. And but the name of our movie group is called Murder Club. And where that name came from is we had a story one time I was telling them a story about Sarah one time. We were watching a movie where someone put chloroform over someone's nose and like knocked him out. And Sarah was like, "Nah, it doesn't work that way. Like you can't just hold it over the face. It takes time." And I'm like, and then she started going into, you can put it over their face, but it takes this amount of time to knock them out and all this stuff. And I was like, why? And she's like, well, because, the amount of time it takes. And I think, no, why were you looking this up? This is in your internet history now.
Why do you know this?
Yeah, why? What compelled you to look up how long it takes to, chloroform someone? And,
watch your back, boy.
And then there was a joke in our movie club about these people were trying to figure out how to murder people. So that's where the murder club thing came from. But then it escalates because Sarah's an artist, so she's constantly looking up, and she does she has two sides of it. She has a very light, child friendly type thing she does, but she has a darker side which she separates. But she constantly she's.
You want to shout them out?
No. So. No, I will. Towards the end. So she has a darker thing where she does illustrations for poetry she's doing with her dad and things like this, where one time I looked over and she's it's a Google image search of people hanging. I'm like, what the fuck is going on with you? Did we need to have a conversation? Yeah. And here she had to do an illustration, and she was trying to find of someone hanging from a poem, but she needed to do an illustration. She was looking for references. Yeah. And I was and then we had a conversation about your Google search history is insane for all the stuff that you have to try and find references for to
for children's books.
Well, that's the other half. Yeah, I mean that's a whole nother story. But anyway, so that was that. There's no way to sum that up. So we can probably fix that in editing.
Well, shout them out.
Shout out is to Spider Bite Boutique, which is the kids thing. So if you like kidsy cutesy things and you want to buy toys for them, like stuffed cats, like we showcased in Houseu, or journals if you're having nightmares and you want to put them in there, check out Spider Bite Boutique on Etsy. Eventually having our own homepage again, our webpage again. Weirdling Works is her more serious kind of darker side stuff, which is scratchboard stuff of goblins stealing children and stuff like that. So I recommend it.
Nice. All right. Well, on that note, any final thoughts, fellas?
Nope, I got nothing.
Yeah, that's par for this whole episode.
That's not true. I contributed.
I'm just.
You're gonna have to select those little bits.
Yeah.
And
watch. I'm gonna cut this episode down where you literally only say 2 words.
You should cut it down where it's just him talking.
No, yeah. It's just Mike. The Mike cut.
Yeah.
Anyway, Justin, any final thoughts?
Do we want to say what next week's gonna be?
No.
Okay.
Not.
All right. Bye.
No. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it then. Nothing. We're good. Everybody good?
Yep, I'm good.
All right. Please, everybody, check us out on our social media, and we are on. Where are we? We're on Facebook, Twitter. So Facebook, just search us out. Twitter at MacGuffin Guild. We are on Instagram at _MacGuffin _Guild. Follow us on Instagram. And Discord. Justin is the one who oversees the Discord, so let me know.
Awesome,
let me know how that is.
I don't have to do anything.
So
MySpace,
please.
If you're on there,
yeah, MySpace.
Check that out.
Follow us on our social media. Let us know what we did wrong, what we did right. Give us your thoughts. We will give you shout outs. We will give you credit. We want to hear what you have to say. We do appreciate it. We thank you for listening, especially you're still listening to this episode. That's pretty amazing. So thank you. And it means a lot to us. We definitely see you. We recognize you, and we're so glad to have you as a member of this guild, and it's been fun so far. Yeah. So, Justin?
And if you want to sell knockoff purses or anything, and you want us to put a link on there, just put it on there. We'll put it on, these are kind of what are they? What are the purses that sell right now? Or
I don't know. You're asking me for purse brands?
You're asking other men in this room.
It's a huge market for it. We'll put your links up here. You just pay us back. Give us 30 cents a month.
Yeah.
It's fair.
Yeah, I'll take that.
I'll take 30 cents a month.
Yeah, it's good.
That's 10 cents each.
Yeah.
Hey.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, on that note.
Dime us out.
Yep. All right. Justin.
Bye.
Mike. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
It's been fun.
Peace.
I raised you better than this.
Anyway,
which brings my next thing. If you had to, in this room, if you had to have someone buried alive, who would it be?
Who would it be?